We will get under the hood of the Microsoft Word's spelling and grammar checker, look at all the options that you might have, and let's discuss how you can customize it to suit your workflow no matter which research field you're from and make it work just right for you. The Trinka podcast, academic writing done right. Hi, this is Dr. KK, welcoming you to a brand new episode of the Trinka podcast, where we will get under the hood of the Microsoft Word's spelling and grammar checker, look at all the options that you might have, and let's discuss how you can customize it to suit your workflow no matter which research field you're from and make it work just right for you. Let's just get right to the Microsoft Word application windows. Microsoft Word window is a plain document. I have some text at the top which I have drafted myself to check if some of the options that we have chosen are working properly. So how do you find out which version you have? Because it is important, because the options that you have vary across versions of Microsoft Word. To start off, I would like to show you that I have Office 365 subscription, and I have a Word 365, and the version is 16.69.1. The options that you will have might be slightly different, but you can still explore the options, and that is the purpose of this video. So let's get right to looking at the options. So where do you find the options, right? So go into Word and Word preferences. Remember that I'm working on a Macintosh computer, so this will appear different probably on a Windows computer or another operating system, maybe a mobile operating system. But the point is, you have to go under options or preferences in Microsoft Word and then select the spelling and grammar options. So I'm clicking on it, and then this dialog box opens up, and you can see there are several options which are categorized into spelling and grammar, primarily main categories. I just quickly walk you through some of these things. And you can see that I've checked most of these, and these are relevant for my use case. You can explore these and customize it. That's the point of the video. So I recommend that you have most of these on. Always suggest corrections, check spelling as you type, flag repeated words, frequently confused words, ignore internet and file path addresses. And so this option, as well as ignore words with numbers, I'll explain why. In my case, I'm an academic editor. I'm from the field of orthopedic surgery, and I deal with a lot of science documents which might have gene names which have numbers in them, for example. So by letting Word ignore the words with numbers, that means that there'll be less quickly lines and less prompt for me to get through. And similarly, I have several documents where the path to a database or something might be provided, or a path to a website or a form or something. So I want Word to ignore these. So that is perfectly fine. Now, custom dictionary. I'm from a field specific, like a niche field, which is orthopedic surgery. If suppose I deal with a lot of documents where some specific procedures or surgical procedures, or let's say prostheses or implants or some kind of material is being discussed, and I don't want Word to think that it's a typo. So I can import a custom dictionary from the internet, as in if I find it, or I can make a custom dictionary, and that is a totally separate point altogether. But if you have a custom dictionary in your field, I recommend that you import it into your Microsoft Word, so that things will be better for you. And under advanced language settings, it is primarily to do with Latin-based languages which are not English, so things like German, French, Russian, Spanish, etc. Now you can explore it if suppose you deal with these documents, or you are in these regions and you have documents which have these languages or English. Explore that. And then under grammar, you have check grammar as you type, which is very, very important. Many of these things prompt you as in when you make a mistake, so you don't have to think about it. You can correct it immediately and go on with the rest of the writing or editing process. And the last option under grammar, the second option, is show readability statistics. Now that is something that has been there for in many versions, in past versions, I think from 2007, Office 2007 onward, and it just tells you how readable your document is. And for academic documents, it can be, let's say, less readable than a regular document, but you can explore it. I find it useful to sort of at the end of it, it also shows me the number of words, number of characters, etc. in the dialogue, and it will also show you if it's readable or not. It's something that I've gotten used to. You can explore it and maybe toggle the option off. The main thing that I want to discuss, however, is the writing style, grammar and refinement settings option. Now, under this writing style, there are two options on my Microsoft Word version, which is grammar and refinements and grammar. And I totally recommend that you check the higher, as in the more featured option, whichever that you find in your system, because my principle in life is that I will use as much of assistance that I can get from any AI based tool, or any tool for that matter, because it just simply saves my time and makes me do things faster and finish things faster. So it gives me more free time to play with for other things, like maybe music or something like that. So let's get into the settings pane dialog box. So there are a lot of things, and I won't be able to take you through all of it because there is too many, but I can just slowly scroll through. You can see some of these, and there are some things that I haven't checked that I'll talk about, and I'll check, and we'll check if they work in a document, sample document. So the top, let's say maybe 70% of the list is something that you will expect from a word processor like Microsoft Word. So that is probably not as sort of interesting for me, or maybe for somebody like you who's a viewer of this podcast. But let me just go down. So this is all related to capitalization, commas, lots of options regarding commas, and date formatting, comparative use, incorrect auxiliary, incorrect comma. So lots of incorrect things. Then so the one thing that I'm unchecked is incorrect use of that. I don't remember why I did this. Is probably because it was giving me a lot of noise that I did not want to have. So this is another important tip. So whenever you customize, you try things out, and if it doesn't work for you, for your specific research field or the thing that you're working on, please make sure that you optimize the software so that you can get through your work faster. So keep that in mind for any tool, not just Microsoft Word. And I'm going down the list. So in this case, you can see that punctuation, question mark missing, these are very important things. So it will probably show me if a comma is missing or something. So I'm going to check these. I'm going to go down. Again, a lot of grammar related things. So I think I'm more focusing on the enhancements with. Let's get there. So now we are getting to the use of word, lack, use of will and would, modal verbs, which, who, confusion. Interesting. Who, whom, confusion. So as an object or a subject, I suppose. And then, so here comes a more interesting thing. So I'm going to slowly scroll through them. Double negation. I want to try it because I have a specific sentence to see if this works. Number words, as in words which are expressed as, numbers which are expressed as words. Passive voice. Interesting. This is useful to see if there are a lot of passive voice sentences in your document. Some fields have a relatively high percentage of that, or a tendency for writers to write like that. And then I'm going down further. Simpler wording. Interesting. Let's see. And nominalizations. You can see nominalizations. Progressive use. I'm not sure what that means. Then wordiness, words expressing uncertainty. I think, in maybe non-academic writing, even in academic writing, you have to use some amount of uncertainty in your arguments, because you may not know the entire, because your sample size might be small and you cannot state categorically that something is working or not working. So those things are important. Then, so colloquial verb phrase, contractions, informal language, I'm checking all of this. And going down further, you see there is a lot of bias related things, which is very useful in the modern age. So I'm going to check all of this: age bias, cultural bias, ethnic slurs, gender bias, gender neutral pronouns, gender specific language, racial bias, sexual orientation bias. Interesting. Socioeconomic bias, comma with adverbials. Okay, so I think Oxford comma important, but in my experience, Microsoft Word is not particularly good at getting this right. So I don't think I have an example to check this. So there are lots more options, including geopolitical references, like profanity. If suppose you are working on a novel or something like that, then you probably don't want to check this because it is acceptable as part of your. But when you're working on an academic document, maybe you want to check this so that it points out that there is use of profanity here. All right. So this is the list that I want you to go through and customize it for yourself. Now, there are a couple of other things that we have to take care of. So require punctuation, require with quotes inside or not. This is an US, UK English convention. In US English or American style, you have the punctuation inside the quotations, and in UK style, it is outside. And space between sentences, I have I've always used one space, but there are many traditional writers who use two spaces. So I want to see if I have any instance where there is more than one space in between two sentences. So I've checked all of this. I'm clicking OK here, and I'm closing this window. Okay, so we are done. We are done with customizing the language and grammar check options, spell check options, you can call it. And then I'm going to the example sentences that I drafted just before I started recording this video. And these sentences have purposefully inserted errors, overlooks, let's just say. So I'm going to just zoom in and I'll show you a couple of things that I would like you to all notice. There are different types of squiggly lines here, as you can see. This has a dark blue squiggly double underline, whereas the typo, this is basically highlighted in a light red color with a squiggly line, one squiggly line. And there are other ways, like there could be things like I think it's like a purple, light purple with dotted underlines, things like that. So the different types of highlights that are there, or the highlight colors or the underlines that are there, also indicate as to what category of language or grammar that word is pointing out. Okay, so I'm going to go to review, which is where spell checker is. So this is a spelling and grammar checker, and I'm going to click, and let's see what it shows. So on the right hand side, we have a new menu or a navigation pane or a pane open up, which tells me that there are 5 remaining errors in this document as per the word spelling and grammar checker. And in this case, it tells me that this article is a possible word choice error. So it says that article, this is a sentence with the same sentence is copied and shown here, and consider an. So it's not telling me any reason why it is an article error, it's a word choice error, right? So I'm going to click this and it fixes it. So that is very cool. Now I'm going to go back. I don't know why it stopped doing this. So the next thing that it caught was a typo, where I purposefully made a typo. This should be THIS, and so here, right? So yeah, it's going to the next error. So in this case, I wanted it to check if it would show me errors regarding commas. It is not showing it, and instead it wants to think that morning is a subject and the verb should be believed. So that's a complete, let's say, noise. I'm going to close this and restart the spelling and grammar checker. So I'm going to go past it or ignore once for the moment. This is the double negative thing that I just enabled. Sorry, this is just a contraction thing. So I think it would want, for a academic case, it would want to change it to I am not. And this again, let's see, I don't know why it is going back to this. In Microsoft Word, you could probably trigger this using the shortcut keys F7. I don't think I have configured anything for it. Okay, let's see, tools by spelling and grammar. So it is directly going to editor. That's the reason why. So editor is another feature that is there in Microsoft Word, the modern versions of Microsoft Word. So I guess that is it, right? There is nothing else it can do, because punctuation conventions. Yeah, it is showing me that this, as per my style, which is an American English style, where I would want the period in this case to be inside the quote, it is telling me that it is not, and I'm going to change it. So let's see what this particular error is being rendered as. Clarity, try rewording to avoid confusing double negative, which is exactly what we wanted it to. So it is detecting several things, but it's not. Clarity, let's see, the double negative is being categorized under clarity, which I think is fair. So let's take a look at the sentences. So this one, it picked up the article error, so that is a good thing. Subject verb agreement, this are a sentence, so this should have been is, right? So what MS Word did not do, I'm going to mark using track changes, and I have enable my Microsoft Word status bar, which is a bottom bar, to show that whether the track changes setting is on or off, and in this case it is off, and I'm going to toggle it back to on, and then I'm going to correct, right? So this is a sentence with a subject verb disagreement. Now you can find another sort of a error here. You, in some style guides and conventions, would want you to use a n dash for indicating a balanced relationship or a relational. These two things are sort of weighted and related to each other. So that's another error it hasn't missed. So it is also sort of, you could have caught it here, but this is that. Preposition error. So let's take a look at this. I have been drafting this document all about 10 minutes. This is back when I was drafting it. So this should have been for, right? And it could probably have shown me if there was many numbers like this, maybe this, then abbreviation. So in this case, it did not pick up anything, and it should have pointed out that this should be. So the sentence is, Houston does not know that Houston does not know that I'm doing secret experiments on Microsoft Word. So it should have been this, but it didn't pick it up. Sorry, Microsoft Word, you're not doing well with your own abbreviation. And typo, this sentence has a typo, which is fixed, right? This was THES, so this is a good thing that it did. Grammar error. This sentence uses was written by someone. So it was a complex error. I don't know what it would categorize it as. So I'm going to make the change that I was intending Microsoft Word to point out, but it didn't. Gender neutrality. So this one I'm very sort of disappointed by, because I think in other in other documents, I think Microsoft Word's grammar checker really pointed it out to me. So this should have been chairperson, right? Because you don't want man or woman. This chairperson is gender neutral, and it should have pointed out, it didn't. So we have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4 out of, I don't know, 11, 12 examples where the spelling and grammar checker did not do well. All right, now let's take a look at the last 4. For commas, I would have liked Microsoft Word to suggest an introductory comma here, and this is also a set of phrase, and this is the best version of the sentence as per me. It is all subjective anyway. Commas are subjective. So early this morning, believe it or not, I spent time reading Proust, which I did actually, and it's just wonderful book. Okay, double negatives. It did point out this, but I don't want to change it, but at least it pointed out that there was a double negative, and it also suggested the expansion of the contraction ain't. All right, now this is again a sort of a miss by Microsoft Word. I don't know if you can notice it, but I'm going to turn on Pilcrows, and you can now see, I'm zooming in, that this is a sentence, period, a single space, it's tiny, period, double space. It should have pointed out. Microsoft Word, you should have pointed this out. So this is yet another miss. And the last one, I'm turned off Pilcrows here. Punctuation within quotes, it did point out this, and this is sort of a, I'm watching Last of Us, which is a hit, obviously, and it's a sort of a conversation snippet from the two main characters in the show. So basically it is for the period within the quotes, and it picked up. So we have out of 11, Microsoft Word did not pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So only 5 out of 11. I would consider this as a fail for Microsoft Word spelling and grammar checker. But that's okay. That's because probably this is not the right document where you can check it. But at least I hope that I've been able to give you a sort of experience on how you can customize the spelling and grammar check option in Microsoft Word, and try it out for yourself. And at least in my case, if I customize it, and I've had very good results with it in academic documents, so you can explore it for yourself. So that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share with your peers and colleagues and family. And if you find this episode useful to improve your workflows, then please rate us 5-star on any of the podcasting platforms. And for many more videos like this, we would love if you would subscribe to the channel on YouTube, and like us and share the videos on YouTube or on any other platforms. So this is Dr. KK signing off for the Trinka podcast, academic writing done right. I'll see you in the next one.